Have you ever felt like you're stuck in your spiritual journey? Have you lost the connection and motivation that you once had? Well, if that's so, you're not alone. Many people experience spiritual stagnation at some point in their lives. See, spiritual growth is a lifelong path, and it is normal to experience periods of growth and, of course, then periods of stagnation. However, it's so important to recognize when we're in one of these states of spiritual stagnation and then take steps, isn't it, to reignite that inner fire or reignite our spiritual growth or our commitment or our bhakti. Hi, I'm Jamie. I run the Yogic tradition, which is a school for higher experiential learning and spiritual development. We've helped hundreds of aspirants over the years find clarity in themselves by giving them the proven tools and the structure to help them create a deep, lasting connection inside of themselves with life and abide in a sense of fulfillment. And if you want to see exactly how we do that, you can access our free training series down below. See, the first step to overcoming spiritual stagnation is to identify what's causing it. And I'm going to give you a list now of some of the things that you might notice in your life that might be causing spiritual stagnation. I know I've been guilty of probably all of these, so you're not alone. Number one, a lack of sadhana. Seriously, this is the biggest one. If you don't regularly engage in sadhana, then you're not cultivating the required prana in the system to shed the lenses of the mind through which we're seeing life through, and this is going to cause stagnancy, or what we would call in yoga perhaps tamas. Tamas is this state of being, of inertia, of laziness, of darkness, of chaos. It's very sticky as well, and that tamas will begin to ensue in your life if we're not plugging ourselves into the source of creation, which is our energy. Number two, comfort zones. We need to be challenged, don't we? It's kind of where our freedom lies. That's why this whole craze of cold water therapy has jumped into gear with Wim Hof, and that's exactly the reason why. It gets people out of their comfort zone, which brings a huge energetic release in the system, but also it's really good for the body too. Three, the third one, fear. Fear can hold us back in many areas of our lives, can't it? But that's especially true in the spiritual path. For example, like fear of the unknown, fear of change, fear of failure. These can prevent you exploring new ideas inside of yourself, and sometimes this is we need to know these things, don't we? Number four, distractions. And this is so important in our modern world, isn't it? Because it's full of them, and it can pull us away from our spiritual pursuits. And that constant overstimulation from social media perhaps, and the overstimulation of our nervous system because of that, or because of work, or because of other distractions, it can make us so difficult, can't it, to focus fully on spiritual growth. And even if we're doing our spiritual practices, we've got one mind on our work, haven't we, whilst we're doing the spiritual practices sometimes. So something has to change. But we can be resistant to that change, can't we? Sometimes we can be resistant, inside of ourselves, needing to control, or needing to stay where we feel comfortable, which is where we are currently. We're comfortable in our current beliefs and our current life, and we don't want that to be challenged perhaps in some way. And so that's another one. And just finally, lack of community, isn't it? Spirituality, typically, I know it's differing and changing now with the advent of technology and stuff, but it was typically a community-based experience. And having a community of like-minded individuals to share your experiences with can be so important. So you recognise, one, you're not going crazy, because there's loads of other people that have that same experience or same life as you in a way. If you don't have that supportive community, you may feel a little bit isolated and uninspired in your spiritual pursuits. But that's the perfect segue for us to introduce our new app, Undercover Yogi. We've made it for you. There's free yoga, there's free live streams, and there's a community without the need for Facebook or social media. Now, we are brand new. This app's brand new, so don't expect there to be a huge community, but you can become one of the founding members and be in there and begin sharing your experience, and that's fun. So what are some of the indicators then that we might be in spiritual stagnation? Well, we might have a lack of motivation. If you used to feel inspired and motivated to engage in your spiritual practices and activities, but now you kind of feel uninterested or bored, this is a sign, isn't it? Another one is a lack of growth. Like, try as you might, sometimes it might just feel like you're not making any progress in your spiritual life, and that can be because we're focused on one aspect of ourselves that we really want to change, but it's such a deep entrenched attachment that right now it's not the thing that's changing, so our focus is over here when actually things are still changing over here, but because this one that we're super attached to isn't changing, that can create a sense of I'm not growing. But you are for sure. But that can create some stagnancy if we believe that this is the way I must change when actually loads of other stuff is changing. Another sort of indicator for you is a loss of meaning. Yeah, if you feel like practices that you're doing are not bringing you any sort of meaning inside of yourself, you might have to check at how involved you are in those practices. In that we might be getting a sense of a lack of connectivity to the practices because we may not actually be doing the practices. Yeah, we're doing them, we're doing the actions, isn't it? And side bend, but we might be inside of our system thinking about the shopping, for example, and this is one thing. Now, finally, one more sign might be negative emotions. You know, if we're experiencing a lot of negative emotions or going through some sort of dark night of experience, or we've got lots of anger, fear, or anxiety in the system more frequently than usual, this might be a sign that we're in a state of spiritual stagnation. And also boredom can be there too, if we're feeling bored or uninterested in our sadhana. Now, something has to change, doesn't it? If we've noticed these things and we know that this isn't the way we want to be in our life, then we know, firstly, this path is tough. Nobody promised you it was easy. But we've really got to get out of our comfort zone, isn't it? And we've got to do something radically different than what we've been doing. Or we need to do the same things in a radically different way. And that takes hard work and, frankly, sheer determination. But if you do manage to apply yourself, then you'll feel more motivated. If you manage to summon a deeper bhakti is your desire to open and grow, you'll feel inspired again. We've got to re-inspire ourselves sometimes on this spiritual journey. That'll bring us closer to that sense of purpose and meaning, and this is what we want. But remember, spiritual growth is a lifelong path, and there will be ups and downs. That's totally normal. Trust me, it's totally normal. But by persevering and continuing to make an effort, you will be able to overcome spiritual stagnation. I promise you this, and continue on your path towards fulfillment. Let this video be a reminder, perhaps, that you are capable, isn't it? Like, the spiritual journey is not saved for a select few that are strong enough. No. Everyone can do this. Don't think you're separate. Don't fall for that trap of the mind, isn't it? Like, so long as you apply yourself, things change. And perhaps the spiritual stagnation mainly is coming because we're not applying ourselves, if we're honest with ourselves, in the way that we know we should and can. So if you're noticing that you are a little bit stagnant, perhaps, and life's not quite flowing the way that you want it to, well, we might be falling for some of the traps that the mind sets out for us. And you can have a watch of that video here, The Dark Side of Spirituality, and 5 traps that you might be noticing inside of yourself. So you can watch that one there.